Barrow's Intense Ginger Liqueurs Investor Update on Wefunder. This is Josh Morton, one of the founders, and welcome.
Cool. So tell us about what's been going on. What's happened since the campaign closed?
So we've had a lot of good things going since the campaign closed. We started production on our 50 ml bottle.
Oh, wow.
You can see on the very bottom there we have a little custom embossing going on.
Very cool.
Big bottle, little bottle, mini-me. Hopefully we'll have those from the manufacturer by the end of the summer and through the bottling process and approved by the TTB and out in the marketplace for the fall.
And what was the kind of strategic decision around the small bottles, and how do you see that helping the overall, position of the brand? So
the small bottle is going to help us in a couple of different places. Our main strategy for it is to help in the off-premise. In the liquor space, there's on and off-premise. On-premise is your bars and restaurants. You're consuming the alcohol on-premise. Off-premise is your retail or your liquor stores. You're consuming the alcohol off the premises, right? You take a bottle and take it home with you. So in bars and restaurants, we introduce the product to a bartender, the beverage director. They taste the product, they put it on the menu, and consumers can experience our product that way. In a liquor store, it's harder to get the consumer to experience the product because it's sitting on the bottle, on the shelf by itself. If you can do, in some states, tastings where you're pouring for consumers, but it's expensive and the number of people you can touch in any one time is tricky. So they have what's called hitchhikers, where the 50 ml bottle will hang off of a full-size bottle of another product. Okay. And so in our case, we would create cocktail cards with the 50 ml, and for example, we might hang it off a bottle of Tito's and do a intense mule, or we hang it off of a bottle of bourbon, and it would be the Bourbon Smash. Or we're going to hang it off a bottle of Don Q Añejo for the Intense and Stormy. Or the Destor Gin, and we'll do a Bee's Knees and their gin and ginger lemonade that we do that's delicious. And so the consumer then takes that bottle. It's a free bonus for what they were buying anyway. And they bring that home, they see the recipe card, they get to experience the product by itself, and in the use case for it, and then they go back to the store and purchase a full-size bottle. So the cost for acquisition on consumers is much, much lower than doing store tastings. Yeah. In addition to which, for the states where that's not legal, and even for the states where it is, we're looking to put together displays for the retail counter where the 50 ml can be bought by consumers. They look at it and they say, oh, well, I don't know what ginger liqueur is, so I'm not going to go and spend $32 on a full-size bottle, but for $2 or $2.50, I'll grab one of these little ones and I can play around with it and see what it's all about. In addition to which, we're looking to put together displays with recipe cards. So we would have a recipe for each of the base spirits, and you could pick your 50 ml and a recipe card to go with it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Take it home and experience it. So that's our off-premise strategy with the minis. And then for on-premise, one of the things there's two things. Number one, when we go into a bar and we introduce our product to the bar manager, the distributor rep brings the sample bottle with them and they pour for them, but then, they're not doing their cocktail menu for another month. Well, most of the time, those accounts aren't going to order a bottle, pay for something until they know how they're going to use it. And it's very expensive for us to leave full-size bottle. So the rep can leave 2 or 3 minis behind, say, here, take these minis, do your cocktail creation around that. And so instead of it costing us $20 or $25 for the bottle, it's costing us $2 or $3. So once again, it should help us in that regard. And then we've also been talking to some high-end hotels about using the bottles in turn-down service around the idea of the digestive. So you go to your boutique hotel at the end of the evening, you come home from your night out, and you find 2 mini bottles along with some nice rocks glasses and some ice, and a little descriptor about how Barrow's Intense is wonderful as a digestive. the 4 qualities about ginger that it's a natural antioxidant, it's a natural digestive, it's an energy booster, and it's an aphrodisiac. Until we have the product, it's not something we can implement, but we've had some positive feedback to that concept.
Great. Well, that's exciting. So it sounds like you've got, something that checks a whole bunch of boxes in terms of new customer acquisition, both on the in-prem side of the world and then on the off-prem consumer side. And that's it's good. It's exciting. There's a lot of different ways that it could work really well.
The great thing about the money that we raised is what it allowed us to do is invest in those 50 mLs. Because our current production process, we produce to demand. So we're getting fresh ginger in every week. We're getting bottles in, every month. We're getting our other raw goods in once a month. We're shipping out product once a month. We're not creating 20,000 cases of stuff and then, shipping it out. So from a cash flow standpoint, the money that we needed to invest in regular production is not significant. But to do the minis and to do a custom bottle and to get these produced externally, because we don't have the equipment to do fulfillment on 50 ml bottles, it's a lot trickier than doing full size. We have to do it all at once. So we have to basically pay for 20,000 50 ml bottles up front before they go out the door. And so the money that we raised on Wefunder was really helpful in allowing us to be able to invest in that.
Great. So how has kind of the rest of the business, been going? Both, in terms of growth, revenues, kind of, new locations. There's a lot of different ways that you kind of track the way the business is progressing. But why don't you talk us through some of those numbers and how it's been working?
Okay, so from a business perspective, the most important thing I look at is what's called depletions. So in the business, there's 2 metrics that you have. You have your shipments. That's what leaves the facility here. And that's what you get paid on. That's what your revenue is based on. And then there's depletion. So because alcohol is a 3-tiered system, you have the supplier, you have the distributor, and then you have your on and off prem, your retailers. We don't sell directly to retail. So when we ship out of our facility, it goes to our distributors. And then it could sit in the distributor's warehouse for months.
Yeah.
And because of that, we won't have a shipment until they deplete their inventory. So what's more important to us is what's called depletions. And depletions are when those bottles leave the distributor's warehouse, which means they're going to a bar or restaurant, so you get used on their menu. They're going to a liquor store. And in general, that's a much more accurate number to forecast future growth. If we did 500 cases worth of depletions, you can assume that you're going to get at least 500 cases of shipments the following month because you need to refill that. And so we've had about 40% year-over-year depletion growth for this year, for the last 6 months. And our revenues are trailing that a little bit, and that is mainly due to the fact that we got behind on shipments a little bit. We actually burned down some of the inventory in the January timeframe because of the assumption that January is going to be slower than it was, and it turned out to be busier than it was. Yeah. So we're catching up. We expect for the year to be somewhere between 700 and 750 in revenue. So that's up, I think, in the same percentage, 40% revenue. So maybe a little higher than that. I'm not sure the exact numbers.
And what's the current split with on-prem and off-prem right now? Do you have a feel for that?
We're somewhere 80-20, 70-30 between on and off, so we're much more on-premise focused. Most small brands, and especially in the space that we're in with a modifier and a ginger liqueur that's a little more obscure that people don't know about exactly the use case so far, where we have to do a lot of brand educating, you build your brand on-premise. And so that's currently where we're at, and for us that's a really healthy number because established brands generally skew more 60-40, and depending on the type of brand, they're 60-40 on off, or in most cases, they're actually 60% off-prem. So what it means is that as we start to gain a foothold in the consumer awareness, we have a lot of room to grow on off-prem.
And from a volume perspective, obviously this is going to be a very rough number, but when does that tipping point start to happen? When do you feel like, that you have enough awareness in the market that people are actually going out and looking for you in their liquor store versus, a first-time exposure at an on-prem facility? Tough to say.
That isn't a number I've evaluated. to be honest. And it's probably different for different brands.
Yeah.
Because in the vodka space, when you're a base spirit, your volumes are much higher than per purchase, if you will. We're in a cocktail with a restaurant in New York City, and it's the #1 account for Whistle Pig in the country, and we're in a cocktail with them. And that's because they use 8 times as much of Whistle Pig in that cocktail as they use of our product.
Yeah.
So our depletions for accounts is considerably different than a base spirit. And so because of it, that metric isn't something we've evaluated. The metric that's important to me is when I hit profitability. That's the number that I have my eye on very specifically. And how do I get to that number? And then all the rest come from that.
Totally. So when you ran your campaign, you guys were just kind of rolling out this partnership with Benihana. And how has that gone? And kind of how much do you see these kind of larger type partnerships being, key to your growth moving forward?
The partnership with Benihana has been going great. We also have the Papados group down out of Texas, and they're doing really
partnerships.
What?
Are these new?
So those 2, I think we announced during our raise, but they're now in full swing, and we're seeing the effect of them.
Yeah.
The Benihana one, we're looking to do more with them. We're looking actually to have them cook with us, and the initial cocktail to get tested took us 1.5 years. These partnerships take a long time.
Yeah.
They do a lot of testing. It's very slow. So the cooking one will probably take a while as well. But if we can do that, I think that'll be a huge win for us. And in the meantime, we're looking to leverage that with other ones. We're talking to folks at World of Beer. We're talking to other large chains and trying to get on their menus as well. And that's a real growth opportunity for us because with one sale, if you will, you're in 60 locations or 70 locations for Benihana. You're in, potentially hundreds of locations for other types of them. And then at the same time, we're also doing smaller groups. So we just got contacted by a hotel management group out of California, and they have 12 locations, and they're developing 13 more. And so, we're looking to get involved on small and large national and chain accounts. It's an excellent opportunity for us, and it's definitely another way that we're growing the brand. And so for those, a lot of times they do ask for marketing support up front and other things, and so having resources to be able to put behind it is really helpful.
And is when you think about your focus, is it more kind of like trying to land, a couple of these larger accounts that'll be highly leveraged kind of sales wins for you, or is it more, broadly distributed, leaning on your distributors to get a bunch of smaller accounts? Obviously, you're doing both, but if you were to bet on one strategy, which is going to cause the majority of your growth, which do you think it would be?
So I think that they're both really important, and we're not focusing on one versus the other. I think what I've done personally is I've shifted some of my focus to the national and chain accounts. So I'm doing the sales into those, and so my time is spent on larger things as opposed to one-off bars and restaurants in places. I'm still doing market visits. One of the things that actually we've done is whenever I'm in a market, we've reached out to our Wefunder community and invited them to come have cocktails with us. And the thing that I've been a little disappointed about is we've had very few people take us up on that offer. So we're going to be in Atlanta in August. We'll send out an email for our investors in Atlanta and come have a cocktail with us. Please come join us. It's super fun. We just have cocktails and talk about the product, and you get introduced to a new bar or restaurant in your town and learn a little bit more about what we're doing, and we can learn a little bit about you. We also did a mailer earlier this month to all of our investors who were below the $500 level because they are not receiving t-shirts. And in it, we sent them some stickers and some posters and some recipe cards and the information about their distributor in their state so that they can help spread the word about Barrow's Intense to their local bar and restaurant, their local liquor store, and they can make sure to bring in the product. We did an analysis, and if 10% of our investors brought in one new account
Yeah.
And that one new account did a case a month, I think a half a case a month in volume.
Is that average for you? Half a case a month?
A half a case a month is would be a solid account. It's not a great account for us. It's not a, like, our usage per account ranges anywhere from a bottle every other month to 8 cases in a month or more for some large format, places that have us on tap. So it really is all over the map. But on average, an account doing half a case a month is a good account for us. It's a solid win. And so over, a whole bunch of people, that average worked for us. We estimated that would boost our sales by 10% year over year.
So 10% of your investors bringing in one account that does half a case per account, it would increase your revenues by 10% year over year.
Yes, from the end of 2016.
Yeah, well, that would be
so really, what we sent out, we really hope that our investors are gonna take, and for them, they get to go and have a nice meal at a restaurant they already like and drink some Barrows and Temps, which is delicious, and enjoy it. And at the same time, it's helping them grow their investment. So it's a win-win for everybody. And it's one of the reasons we wanted to partner with Wefunder is so that we could not just raise money, but also help build the brand through our investor network.
So maybe you could talk a little bit more about that process. Like, what does it look like? How would someone who's one of your investors get involved? How does this free meal at this nice restaurant work? Like, what does that whole process look like if they wanted to participate?
So most people that I know, have restaurants they go to fairly regularly. They probably know the management there, someone on staff. If they don't know the owner, they might know one of the waitresses really well. They'll create a personal connection at one or more restaurants in their neighborhood, in their town, wherever they are. Or the local liquor store. They'll know the owner of the local liquor store, or they'll know the manager of the local liquor store. Depending on the state they're in, some states, all the liquor stores are small and they're the owner, and in other states you're dealing with the big chains like Bevmo and all the rest. So depending on the environment, it's a little bit different. But for those restaurants and liquor stores where you have a relationship, leveraging that relationship, saying, hey, have you heard about Barrows and Temps? Bringing in the resource that we had, look at all the cocktails you can make with it. This is the distributor. And then if you need more help, reach out to us, email us, and then we can send in, if we have our Seralis partner is in your state, we can send them into that account and say, hey, one of our investors recommended we come in and visit you, and then they can taste them on our products, and we can, sample them and then help get it on that cocktail menu. And then they know you're going to be coming into the restaurant looking for that product, looking to order it. If it's an appropriate restaurant where you can have it as a digestive, say, hey, can you bring in a bottle for me so when I come in, I can have it at the end of my meal over the rocks as a digestive. And that's even just the start. And then they'll start to see that as a use case, and then you can start the conversation about how it can be used in cocktails and more. And it's really a relationship business. And so the more we can have our investors helping us create awareness of our product, the better. What we found is distributors that we work with, any distributor we work with, they have thousands of products in their book. So for them to spend time and energy introducing our product into the market is a really hard thing for us to do. It happens, but it's limited, and so the more people we can have introducing our product, the better. And once bartenders taste it, once anyone tastes it, people love the product. It's a delicious product. It sort of sells itself. So you don't have to do much more than introduce the concept and get them a taste of it, and then it should follow up to make sure that they actually bring it in so you can drink it. But it's not a hard sell. It's not something that they're going to look at and go, oh, well, we don't like this. There's no use for it, etc. When we sent out the mailer, we sent our cocktail card, which has 40 classic cocktails on it, which shows all the different ways that you can use the product in cocktails. We also sent our sell card, which has the awards we've won, and then using it as a digestive
Yeah.
and some real basic cocktails you can also make.
Speaking of awards, have there been any new competitions you guys have participated in the last 6 months, 8 months?
No, there isn't. They're not inexpensive to enter. The average entry fee for the competitions is about $400. And from a marketing standpoint, what we sort of felt is we did it when we first came out. We won a lot of great awards, and we've proven that we're high quality product. So at this point, investing $400 in another gold medal isn't really going to move the needle at this point.
Yep.
So we're looking to invest our money elsewhere.
Cool. So where would you say kind of like the biggest challenge for you guys right now that you're trying to figure out is?
I think it's just capitalizing. It's getting the word out. It's really about getting the exposure and getting implementation. And on those national accounts, the limited resources in terms of chasing them. It takes a lot of time and effort to get those things to happen. And we're competing against, giant mega brands with whole departments of people who are, selling these folk. So I think that aspect is definitely a challenge.
Cool. Well, you want to show us the facility, see what's going on and where the magic is made?
Yeah, see if I can. So we're gonna come over here to Brandon. So one of the cool things we realized, hey Brandon, what batch are we working on? Can you show the bottom? This is Brandon.
17, 19, right?
Hey, Brandon.
So
17, 19. So let me grab a blank bottle.
So this is one of the other things that we did with our investment from Wefunder is we got a brand new labeling machine, and this is pretty exciting for us because
Oh, cool.
boom, and what that allows for is because our labeling process is a little more complicated than a normal label. We have a front and a back label, and we have the swing top, and the label has to align with that swing top. So because of that, it's a little trickier than your average labeler. So this machine has an optical sensor which reads where the swing top is and then places it accordingly. But one of the cool bits of trivia that we just realized today was that so this batch was it 17, 19 that we're doing. So our batch numbering, if you ever find a bottle of our stuff, you can tell the age of the bottle because the first 2 digits are the year that bottle was created, and the second 2 digits are the batch number for that year. So in the case of 1719, that would mean it's the batch from 2017, it's the 19th batch of the year. What we realized is that the last batch of 2016 is 1626. And we have in this tank here right now, batch 1721. So by the end of August, we are expecting to have done as many batches as we did in all of 2016.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to be doing significantly more product than we did last year. I'm going to bring you over to the other side, and over here is Noah. Say hi, Noah.
Clean. What's up, man?
What's up?
So the ginger comes in, and we give it a good scrub. I don't know if you can see what's going on there. Clean off all the warts.
Make it all minty fresh.
Or gingery.
And then it goes over on our drying racks.
Okay.
Yum. And then what we'll do, I think we had this in our video, is it'll get trimmed and put in our buffalo chopper. The blade on this thing. It's our honkin' buffalo chopper. The reason it's called a buffalo chopper is it can chop a buffalo. So the way it works is as the blade spins, the bowl turns.
Yeah.
So you put the ginger in the front, it goes around behind the guard, so you can't get hurt. And it gets chopped up, and the longer it stays in the bowl, the more it gets chopped up.
Yep.
So these are our maceration or infusion tanks. We added a whole bunch more. And so inside here, It's all our fresh ginger.
Oh wow.
It's in the alcohol, and this is where all the flavor gets imparted into our spirit. So the fresh ginger sits in here for about a month, and all that flavor gets imparted into the alcohol.
Cool. Cool, Josh. Well, what else would you like to let your investors know? What else is important we haven't covered?
So for our investors down in Florida, in the West Palm Beach area for now, we're actually doing a test with a startup called AirTab, which is a app that allows for sampling of cocktails, and you get free cocktails through it. And we're one of their beta partners, and we're super excited about it. It's definitely a much more effective way of reaching consumers. There's analytics around it, and there's the ability to provide them with a coupon for off-premise. So not only do we get them to experience the product in a bar or restaurant, but then they can action on that by a coupon by going to a local retailer. And they have a substantial investment behind them, and if it works and is successful, it's something we'll probably roll out nationally. And for those investors who invested more than $500 or more, it took a long while for us to get responses from you. So that's why the t-shirts are delayed. We put out a final request. If you haven't responded, you're going to get a men's large, whether you like it or not. So if you want something other than a men's large and you haven't responded to our requests, please do, so we know what proper size t-shirt to send you. And then you should be expecting a t-shirt and a welcome kit with the cocktail cards and some other stuff shortly. So I want to thank all my Wefunder investors, our Wefunder investors. You guys are great. We couldn't be doing this without you. Thank you! Thank you! And yes, please don't be shy. Introduce your friends, introduce your local bars to our stuff. The more you promote us, the more you promote your investment. So help us help you to make yourselves more money.
Awesome. All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.